we are hit with, and the numbers change, I've heard 2 million, 7 million, some experts think even 60 million now, but we have millions of bits of information coming at us every single second of the day. So our brains simply cannot handle that kind of information. It's just way too much. We quite literally would go crazy if we tried to make sense of that much information every second. Hello, and welcome back to my series, What is NLP? Now, if you haven't seen the intro video, my name is Megan. I'm a certified NLP practitioner and transformational coach. And you want to click the link here to go back and review the first intro video before we continue with this one. After you do that, I'll see you back here. So, we discussed what NLP was on the surface. But now, how does our brain take all of that information that we discussed through our 5 senses and make sense of all of it? The fact is, our brains only do 3 things. That's it. Our brains simply delete, it distorts, and it generalizes. And so what's happening when it's doing each of these things? And it's very important that our brains do these things because the fact is, when it comes to deletion, we are hit with, and the numbers change, I've heard 2 million, 7 million, some experts think even 60 million now, but we have millions of bits of information coming at us every single second of the day. So our brains simply cannot handle that kind of information. It's just way too much. We quite literally would go crazy if we tried to make sense of that much information every second. So our brains delete. It accepts some of the information that comes in, and then it will just omit and delete the rest of it. It doesn't need it, so it just forgets it. It's kind of like if you jump in your car and you're driving to the grocery store. You'll see different signs along the way. You might see a sign headed to this town, headed to that town, but the town you want is straight ahead. Your brain sees through your eyes, and the visual will see the signs headed to the other towns, but it automatically deletes that information because it knows that that's not where you're trying to go. You need to go forward to where the grocery store is. So it simply deletes all that information. Your brain will also distort information that's coming in. And basically distortion is just a misrepresentation of reality. It's kind of like when you see someone walking, through the forest or on a movie, and they see something on the ground and they jump and they scream because they think that they've seen a snake. In reality, as they get closer, they find out it was simply a stick, but it had the look and the contour of something that the mind remembers and had seen previously as a snake, and it distorts it and believes that that's what they're actually seeing. So that's distortion. Third thing that your brain does is make generalizations. And basically these are just global conclusions based on our previous experiences. So again, we'll go back to the car. You're driving down the street and you've got a stoplight up ahead of you and it's green. You see it turn yellow. Based on years of my driving experience, I assume and conclude that after yellow, the light's gonna turn red. And so those are the kind of generalizations that we like. They help us and they move us forward in life. So what happens when our brain does these 3 things? It creates an experience for us based on what it has deleted, distorted, and generalized. And for every single person out there, and every person watching this video, as a matter of fact, even though you're watching the same video, you will have a different experience and you will remember different things. And that's because your brain is deleting certain information and keeping others. It's distorting some of the things that I say based on your previous experiences. And again, based on your experiences, it's generalizing some of what I'm telling you. And so this is why often you'll hear that witness testimonies and trials is actually not that it's not valid, but they don't put a lot of weight on it because 10 people can experience the same exact event. They all saw it, but because of deletion, distortion, and generalization, they all experienced it in a different way and will remember different points of information. So you can have 10 witnesses with 10 completely different accounts of what actually occurred. So now that our brains, we know that they delete, distort, and generalize. When that happens, it does it through 5 filters. We have 5 of them: metaprograms, values, beliefs, memories, and decisions, specifically decisions of the past. So what are each of these 5 filters? Your metaprograms are basically the way that someone handles information that they've taken in. It's not good or bad. We don't place judgment on it. It's just what it is. That's all. Second is our values. Values are how we decide what's good and bad, what's right or wrong. It's basically each individual's model of the world. So in respect to that, we must remember that there's also context applied to these values. If you walked into a room and you saw someone pounding on another person's chest, all I simply told you was someone was pounding on someone else's chest. What does that mean to you? Some people might say, immediately place a value judgment, that's wrong, you don't hit other people. However, what if I told you the person who was getting hit was laying on the floor and the person doing the pounding was actually doing more of a compression type of pounding? And what they're doing is they were trying to resuscitate that person. All of a sudden, the context of what I just said completely changes your value judgment. Or maybe not, but for most people, they say, okay, that was a good action. Whereas in the first situation, not so good. So values are simply how we judge things. So third is our beliefs. Our beliefs are basically our generalizations about the world around us. It's why we do the things that we do. It's our on-off switch, you could say, to our actions. It's whether we believe that we can or believe that we can't. That famous quote, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. That is what this comes down to, is your belief. Our minds are kind of amazing and crazy at the same time. If we have a belief that we can't do something, even something as simple as walking down the street, if you create a belief that you can't do it, even though logically we all know we can, your brain will convince you that you cannot do it. And it's a belief, often like many limiting beliefs that we have, and the reason we don't reach our goals is because we have these beliefs that don't serve us. But we'll get into that in coaching. So number 4 is our memories. And you'll often hear memories referred to as gestalt. And all a gestalt is, it's a really fancy, cool kind of sounding name that just, it's a group of memories based on usually an emotion. So we'll have a group of memories that we call upon when we're feeling sad, or when we're feeling happy, or when we're feeling confident and courageous. Our memories, our brains will pull upon those memories from that particular group of memories to evoke that emotion and support us. And lastly, number 5 are our decisions, specifically the decisions we've made in the past. These decisions, often we've made them at a very early age and we simply don't remember them, or we could have made them unconsciously. The reason our decisions are important is that's where our beliefs are usually created from, is decisions that we've made. All 5 of these filters then create our internal representation of the world, which we discussed in the last video. It's our model of the world, it's how we take in that information, how we process it through these 3 different ways that our brain takes the information in and then runs it through our filters. And that's how we create our internal representation, or our model of the world. Again, each person's model of the world, it's not right, it's not wrong. We don't value it, put a value judgment on it. It simply is what it is. And we all have one. So with that information, I will see you in the next video, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into how we take all this information and how we use it to crush those goals that we have, and how to get rid of our limiting beliefs. I'll see you in the next video.